What would happen if we lost oxygen for 5 seconds? Do you know that nitrogen is the most common gas in the atmosphere? Though oxygen is without a doubt the most important one, no living being can survive without it. You go about your business, work, sleep, eat, and have fun without giving a second thought to the magical substance that allows it all to happen. Most of us can live without oxygen for about half a minute before our bodies require a breath of this gas. You might believe that holding your breath for 5 seconds isn't a huge deal. After all, it's just 5 seconds. However, the consequences would be disastrous if the entire world were deprived of it for that long. Check it out for yourself. 1. The crust of the planet would crumble. The soil beneath your feet would begin to crack and crumble. It would eventually turn to dust. This would continue until there was nothing left to stand on. This is because the Earth's crust contains 45% oxygen. Therefore, if this gas vanished, you would have experienced freefall because there would be no more ground to support you. 2. The majority of people would suffer from hearing loss. In a single instant, you would experience a drop of around 21% of the air pressure. It's similar to jumping from sea level to over 2,000 meters in altitude. It would stop the eardrums from getting used to the pressure changes. We'd have a condition called barotrauma. It's an injury sustained from failure to equalize the pressure of an air-containing space with that of the surrounding environment. Barotrauma usually happens when there is an abrupt change in pressure, just like we may experience ear clogging while deep-sea diving or flying. In the lack of oxygen, humans would experience something similar but on a much larger scale, so you should expect nothing less than severe hearing loss. 3. People relaxing in the sun get terrible burns. What shields you from the harmful effects of the sun's ultraviolet rays? Well, it's all thanks to ozone, which prevents ultraviolet light from penetrating the troposphere. Ozone is made up of 3 oxygen molecules. What then if the air we breathe suddenly stops containing oxygen? Have you ever thought about living in a grill? That's what life on Earth would be like without oxygen. We would be literally roasting ourselves out in the sun. 4. Water reserves would instantly begin to evaporate. Water is 1/3 oxygen. Without it, hydrogen becomes gaseous and expands in volume. The oceans would evaporate and disappear into space. As the oxygen component of the ocean's water evaporates, the hydrogen component becomes an unbound free gas. Without our essential oxygen, the Earth may become a vast desert in almost no time. We surely don't want that. 5. All concrete constructions would fall to pieces. This may come as a surprise, but concrete buildings require oxygen to be rigid. It's a strong binder that holds them all together. All concrete structures, bridges, and roads would crumble if oxygen disappeared. What do you think? Are you curious or scared? Let's move on to the next one. 6. Untreated metals would weld together. Metals do not weld on contact because they're coated in an oxidation layer. This is one of the unique properties of oxygen. Now imagine there's no oxygen, hence the lack of an oxidation layer. What do you expect would happen? In a vacuum, 2 pieces of metal can join together without any liquid in between. This is the principle employed in cold welding. In this method, small metal pieces are directly welded together without melting the area where the 2 pieces meet. These metals are placed in a vacuum to aid in the fusion of the metals. Expect to see untreated metals welded together. The eyes have indeed seen everything that was previously impossible. Is there anything else that could go wrong? 7. Cars with internal combustion engines wouldn't work. Oxygen can make any fuel more explosive, powerful, and efficient to burn. When oxygen is mixed with the usual air that enters an internal combustion engine's air intake, the engine runs faster and produces more power while using the same fuel. All vehicles except electric cars would cease to function in case of the absence of oxygen. They all require oxygen to allow the combustion process to take place. Without oxygen, cars would halt and planes and helicopters would fall to the ground from the sky. Welcome to the period with almost 0 modes of transportation. Only expect a few handful of elites to drive around in case oxygen is absent. Are you all dreading this case scenario already? 8. The day would become as dark as night. The sky would be pitch black. Light from the sun bounces off multiple particles in the air before reaching the Earth. Fewer things will bounce off without oxygen in the atmosphere, and the sky will appear dark, nearly black. There will be light, but it wouldn't look like the beams of sun we're used to seeing. Instead, the light would appear to come from a single spot. 9. every gas-fired boiler or generator would fail. The fire triangle combines oxygen, heat, and fuel. When you add the fourth chemical reaction element, you have a fire tetrahedron. The critical thing to remember is that if any of these four things are removed, there will be no fire, or the fire will be extinguished. So all gas-powered equipment will be pretty useless because gas needs oxygen to burn. The same may be said for fire. Bade farewell to generators and say hello to the dark era. Now, what would happen to us? We will not detect any changes in respiration. However, millions of cars stopping everywhere would astound us. Planes dropping from the sky, the ground crumbling below your feet, and buildings vanishing into dust would confuse us all. However, your body would detect a slight deficiency of oxygen at the same time. People begin to suffocate only when there is a high quantity of carbon dioxide in their blood, not when there is a lack of oxygen. So after these 5 seconds, when oxygen will reappear in the atmosphere, surprise, we're back. A massive and horrifying explosion would occur. This would occur due to the oxidation of our planet's seas, oceans, and other bodies of water. After this explosion, Earth would most likely become extremely cold for several seconds. Does that sound like fun? Most likely not. But thankfully, you can take a deep breath of 21% oxygen and rest assured that this will never happen. So, what is the scariest result of oxygen depletion? Tell us in the comments section below. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel. You'll always be on the sunny side of life this way.